Guys, I'm back. Hello. No, I'm joking. Don't no. So, I am watching Virtual Japan. It's a really great um, YouTube channel to put something on when you're like, reading or studying or just chilling out, chillaxing, and you don't really feel like watching anything cerebral, nor do you feel like watching anything with like dialogue or whatever, and you just want to see the beauty of what is Japan. Usually, most of these videos are filmed in Tokyo. This one is the 2024 Tokyo Christmas lights from Roppongi to Tokyo Station. Roppongi is one of the cities within Tokyo. I have not been there, but next time I go back to Tokyo, I do want to go to Roppongi. It has a famous red light district, but that's not why I'm going. Um, my first stop when I go back to Tokyo, though, is to go back to Shibuya. Shibuya, by far, is I think, is like probably the favorite place of many foreigners going to Tokyo, as well as even people in Japan and within Tokyo. Like Shibuya is like the party spot. Like Shibuya mm, is like I want to say like like midtown Manhattan at night, right? Um, as well as Shinjuku and Shibuya, sort of like the two spots. And like some of the two best times to go there is like Halloween and Christmas. Like people don't, even though Japan is not a Christian country, they do some great stuff on Christmas. And as I've mentioned in many live streams previously, um, they they have like some interesting Christmas traditions. Like ever since the '90s when KFC marketed themselves in Japan, there's been this Christmas tradition in Japan where people will buy KFC chicken as Christmas gifts to each other. But Halloween is where is the jump off. Like they really go hard in the paint during Halloween. So one of those two times is where I need to go back because I went there in the summer. Nothing wrong with going in the summer, especially if you don't like the cold. But if you don't mind a little brisk air, Halloween or Christmas. So this is their little thing, and I'm going to show you guys really quick. Now let me get back. Yeah. So all that's to say, I was going to tone it down with some of the AI music I play sometimes because for some reason I didn't get a copyright claim on anything yesterday, but I have limited ads going to be playing in my last live stream uploaded last night. And I don't think it's the AI generated music, but just in case, I'm gonna keep that very. I'm gonna keep playing it, but it's gonna be very low volume, so I don't get that again. Because last week I had a copyright claim against me for that. It wasn't a strike. Copyright claims and copyright strikes aren't the same thing. Copyright strike is like you get 3 strikes and you're permanently demonetized. Copyright claims just means that you cannot make revenue off of the copyrighted content. So I removed that, and I'm not sure if people would have noticed because all I had to do was just basically use the tools that YouTube provides to take out the copyrighted content while still leaving in any sort of conversation going on. So anyway, um, I don't know how to say your name exactly. Road. I'm gonna put on my glasses. Sorry. Um, so I can get to everyone that just left a comment. Road. I still don't know how to pronounce this. Ru Guayato Gak says hi. What's up? Dirt Jam plays says hi. What's up? I'm gonna turn my chat filter to all messages. Grab make sure I grab all my comments. Um, so yesterday, what I think happened is not that I got limited ad suitability for the AI generated music in the background. I think it was rather the content of what I talked about. Now, I did use some harsh language, but I've used harsh language in virtually every live stream I've done. I don't think that was it. It could be it, but I think it was something else. And I think what that was is that I mentioned China and its contention with Taiwan. So I won't be mentioning that. I know that YouTube is very fickle when it comes to that. And, I'm not going to blame them because, there are some YouTubers that get really mad when YouTube doesn't allow them to talk about certain stuff. Well, allows them to talk about certain stuff, but may not let them monetize that content. And I don't get mad because at the end of the day, YouTube is a business. It's a media company owned by Google, and a part of being a media company is that they generate ad revenue. Um, China is a huge market for entertainment and media, which is why Disney used to bend over so hard for them for a long time before they just said screw it. But I completely understand if YouTube wants to make itself uh, business there because it is a huge market. Like one is 1.2 billion people. In this country, we're only a country of 335 million. They have 1.2 billion, and that's not including the whole sinosphere across the globe. So, um, they might. So it makes sense they might want to have content that they can feel they can share there, and I get it. Besides that, I don't want to knock China either because I do have desires of going to mainland China. I've been to other parts of the sinosphere which may be considered China. I'm not going to mention that word again, which I've already used earlier, because again, I don't want limited suitability in this stream like I did yesterday in the previous stream, which you guys can check out. All I will say is that as I had this drawn out geopolitical discussion over the next week or two, um, I'm going to be open to talking about any topic uh, from any given nation or state or whatever, but talking about mainland China is going to be off the table because, again, I don't want YouTube limiting my ad revenue because generally that's the way I make most of the money on these live streams because I don't get I get I very rarely get any uh, donations from folks, and I don't ask that often. When I do ask is when people want to talk about things irrelevant to my topics. If people want to talk about things relevant to my topics, I say, hey, drop me a super, whether it's a super chat, a super sticker, or a Ruby, and we'll talk about whatever you like. Um, but if not, let's stick to the subject, right? So very little people do that. So most of the money I do generate through these videos is usually through ad revenue. Once I play them, once I upload them for replay, and people watch these broadcasts on replay. So when people always like, why are you talking to yourself or whatever, whatever. Hey, once I it's like once these live streams are done, they're uploaded just like any other video, and people can watch them in their leisure. And when they do, I get ad revenue from it. So that's why. Um, Ratha Sharma official says Ratha repeatedly. I don't get it. I don't know if that's like a bad word in Hindi. I don't get it. But if so, if it's gonna fly over the head of anyone who doesn't speak Hindi, if that's a joke or something. Gabe, again, I've already answered. I'm not answering the question. That's not germane to my topic. If you clicked on this live stream, you saw what the headline was. What you're asking me has nothing to do with the headline. If you're gonna ask me an irrelevant question, put it in the form of a super chat, or it won't be answered. Period. if you're one of my regulars who've been rocking with me for the past year or longer, I'll answer their questions even if it's off topic because they've been rocking with me for a long time. But if you're just a random person, I'm not going to answer a random question. Stick with my topic, or you can go to another stream. Yeah, straight like that. In any case, so I started yesterday with talking about geopolitics. This is something I wanted to do earlier this week, but um, I didn't stream for 4 days, from like Monday to Thursday, and I started it Friday. Prior to last week, my discussions was on the paranormal. So if you want to see that, you can check out all those videos. I did about for 3 weeks. I talked about paranormal topics, but I was ignoring all the things going on in the current events right now. So I wanted to get to that. So I just decided to make a whole uh, discussion about talking about what's going on in the world. I'm not going to answer what is a contrarian because it's not germane to the question that I'm asking today. And you're literally asking me a question when you have Google in your hand. So I mean, you can literally Google what contrarian means. Ask it in the super chat. I'm tired of people asking me redundant questions. I'm guessing you're not American. Even still, if you're on Google, I mean, if you're on YouTube, YouTube is a Google product. So that means you have access to Google. If you have access to YouTube, which means you can use Google search to look up contrarian. I'm not going to answer questions you can find for yourself. I don't do other people's homework for them. Never have, never will. Now, if you want to drop it in the super chat and pay me my time, then that's different. But I'm not going to do your homework for you. If you're going to ask me a question that you can freely Google yourself, then I'm sorry for you. Again, if you're not going to stick to my topic, don't ask me unless you're going to drop it in the super chat, or drop a super sticker, or drop a ruby. Those are the three ways you can support content creators: is through the super chat, where you drop your question or comment in the super chat, or you can drop a super sticker, which is similar. You can choose whatever super sticker you want, and then ask a question, or you can drop one of those the new thing they have, which are called gems. In the vertical live stream, the gems are rubies that you can give to me, and it'll display some like animated image. What's up, Jesse? What's going on, bro? So anyway, so like I said, yesterday I got limited. It was partially demonetized because I think I mentioned the big C overseas, that country. So I'm not going to even mention the word again. I've already mentioned it like 3 times. So I think that's why I got partially demonetized for the last stream. So whatever country we talk about is fine. Just China will not be discussed because I don't think YouTube likes the analytics for that. Catherine says, "Good morning, Contrarian. The volume is really low. Is anyone else having trouble with sound?" Um, yeah, because I have my volume all the way up, so I think it might be your. Are you using earbuds when you listen? Because I have the volume all the way up, and my hand isn't covering the mic, so I'm making sure. And I have the phone relatively close to me. Jesse says, so me has invaded with the gift system. So it started on that platform first. Yeah, I remember YouTube was in the YouTube creator channel, like they were saying like months ago, we're going to start this new system for another way that content creators can receive support from their audience. So can you guys see that on your screen? It's like a image of like a gem. And so in the vertical live streams, you can support your people like me with a gem, and it'll show some sort of animated image. Someone did it last week, and it seemed like it was just like random images that came up. Jesse said I was wondering how long that would take to migrate. So yeah, they talked about it like 2 months ago, and then it started. I believe it started in like sometime in November when it actually got put in. Pause. Miss Nita says Jesse, it never takes long. That's what she said. What's up, my What's up, Miss Nito? I got my two lady moderators in the house, guys. So everyone be on their best behavior because they don't play. And no one. And again, check out Miss Nito. She's a talented musician. Go check out her content. Um, based in Germany. Um, but you can't have her. But you can watch her content. Catherine says better Bluetooth glitch. Okay, that's what I was thinking because remember yesterday when I was having a sound difficulty, that's because I actually had hit the volume down low while I was holding the phone. But then after I adjusted it, you were still having trouble, and everyone else said they could hear it clearly. So I thought it might be a technical issue on your end. Brett says hello, buddy, pal. Jesse says it's a fun system, but the amount that you take is obviously going to be about half, if that. Like I'm not even sure how much, because when I look at my the financial stuff, like it doesn't show how much I've gotten from the gifts. I see how much I've gotten from my supers overall, but it doesn't show me. It keeps saying zero when I add up the rubies, and I know for a fact that I was given 3 rubies last week by my friend Eric on here, but it's not showing that he sent me 3 rubies yesterday. I mean last week. Sorry. Jesse says, "Hey Needle." Catherine says, "Hey Miss Needle." Cena says, "Hey Catherine." Hey Jesse. Jesse, they always want to have a cut. Oh, they got to get their cut, Miss Needle. It's mafioso all the way up. Everybody got to wet their beak. I gotta get a little taste. Oh, okay, player. Oh, you get donations. Oh, that's real good for you, player. Just make sure you kick up about 10% to me, and 10% to the boss, and then the boss has to kick up 10% to to the skipper of the family. So that's about 30% right there, Playboy. So I don't know, but I'm assuming they take about half. You know what I'm saying? Jesse says French wenches. Oh, no, no, no. Hey, be nice to them, Jesse. These are really good ladies. Catherine says, please like, share, subscribe, buy contrarian a coffee, or drop a super chat. I just finished my drinking my coffee before the live stream. As a matter of fact, I made some iced coffee and I had 3 peanut butter and jelly sandwiches. And Miss Neil says, always, always. Jesse says, oh yeah, I just wish they would cut it off at 20%. You know what I mean? Yeah. I don't know exactly how much they take. I'm just gonna assume about half. Dirk says, yep, okay, cool. That sounds like a that sounds like a that sounds like the lyrics to an Outcast song. Miss Nita says Jesse greed is everywhere. Eventually, it will drive platform to the ground. Eventually, it becomes unsustainable. Actually, no. So let's be fair to YouTube. Like, I don't. I think the cut that they take is actually pretty reasonable because depending on how big your audience is, you'll still make a lot of money per stream. Like the big streamers, even with the cut that YouTube takes, can some streamers make like thousands per stream, if not tens of thousands or hundreds of thousands per stream. Like some of them get dough, and that's nothing compared to some of these guys that do the 24-hour live streams on sites like Twitch. I don't think you can do 24 hour 24-hour live streams on YouTube. Well, you probably can. I, just that I wouldn't. But I think most of the people who do like the 24-hour live streams are like on Twitch and stuff like that. But it's possible to generate a lot of revenue per stream. I just don't have that audience. So I mean, I might have to. I don't know. I might have to show you guys my six pack or something to get to get that sort of revenue. But that's not going to help when most of my audience are men, presumably straight men. But hey, do you? But um, yeah, I'm just not in that league. Um, let me. Dirk says rupees. Yeah, check. Look on your screen, Dirk. You'll see a thing that says get. It might say gifts, but you'll probably just see an icon like a little image that resembles like a gem or ruby. It says zero right now because no one sent me any. But if you send one, it's going to display a animated image on the screen for everyone, showing that you sent me a gift. They're called gifts, but they come in a like I said, they're called gems in the YouTube uh, monetization. And in the vertical live streams, I know specifically set up as they call them rubies in vertical live streams like this, where you can donate to your content creator. Outside of that, like I said, outside of YouTube taking their cut, besides that, it's nothing wrong with the fact that you can also receive support outside of YouTube directly during your streams to Cash App or Venmo, um, PayPal. I don't have PayPal anymore. I do have Cash App and Venmo. And I have a Patreon set up, but I rarely talk about it because I haven't uploaded any content on there. But people can sign up for my Patreon too. If I get people sign up for my Patreon, then I will actually put content on there, just for my Patreon viewers. But I do have a Patreon account. I just don't mention it because I haven't uploaded any extra content on there. If I do, it'll probably be like either travel related or martial arts related, something like that. Um, or it might be my friend and I having some unfiltered discussions because a lot of stuff we discuss, like I have to edit what we say, you know, because the language might be too harsh for YouTube, and analytics. So I might have like unfiltered discussions on Patreon, so I might do that. But also, as Catherine mentioned, I have another thing called Buy Me a Coffee through the buymeacoffee.com website. And I literally do drink a lot of coffee. So it's not just a gimmick. Like, I literally drink coffee. The first time someone bought me some, I actually, the next day, filmed myself drinking that iced coffee from, the donation she sent me. Um, but also, the Buy Me a Coffee, you can set up different ways. You can do buy me a coffee, or they also you can switch it to say buy me a beer or buy me a pizza. Pizza would be great. I don't drink beer, so but coffee I drink literally every day. So so I kept it on that. Dirk says cool. Jesse said it probably takes a week to catch up, kind of like watch hours and stuff. Yeah, it probably did. It probably has to track that, but it's just funny that it tracks the supers. I thought it would track like daily the way it tracks the supers because it stays pretty consistent with tracking your supers per as far as the streams or stuff like that, or your pre-recorded videos or your YouTube shorts. It tracks the supers pretty regularly, but I guess because the gifts are new, it doesn't track it yet like the way it does the supers. um Dirk says I will subscribe. Thank you, Dirk. I appreciate it a lot, brother. Ms. Needle says if there's no other income, but it will divert traffic from platforms to a competitor. Well, so Are you talking about YouTube? So one thing with YouTube, um, so you can upload content and share it on multiple platforms, which I think is a question that Catherine is asking me once I scroll down. Um, so because I've seen people do that, like they all have the same content uploaded on multiple platforms. Like you'll see that content here on YouTube, then on Instagram, then on Facebook, and I do share some content amongst my three um, platforms. I had TikTok at one point, but I was like, nah, I don't trust using TikTok. Plus, I feel I think that I'm aged out of the people that would benefit from using TikTok as a platform. Like if I had no uh, maybe cre- um, a content creator manager or producer, then I will allow them to shop around my content on all the different social media platforms. But as I'm doing this completely on my own part time, I didn't want to deal with TikTok or Twitch, but maybe in the future. So I will manually do that. So now some people will make pre-recorded videos and like I said, put them on multiple platforms. I've done it with a few of my things, but I'm not sure how you can go live on multiple platforms at once. There may be a way to do that, but I'm not sure. I'll actually have to look it up on Google. Ironically, Jesse says I'm a middleman. Middleman. I'm a middleman. The middleman. Dirk says never mind. Miss Neal says NBA you need Jesus. What did he say, Miss Neal? Like I just saw that he. I know he must have said something out of pocket for Cat to time him out. He don't need Jesus. He need Jeebus. Jackson Nichols says, "What in the opera space lasers is going on here, bro?" You can clearly check the topic headline, and that's what this stream is going to be about. And I'm going to get back to topic in a moment. Miss Neal says Jackson discussion. Uh, Jackson discussion of geopolitics, but the discussion hasn't started yet, I believe. Right. So I was already prefacing uh, a few minutes ago by saying that yesterday's live stream was the start of my new discussion, which is going to, probably go on for the next week or two, which is about geopolitics. Yesterday was just about geopolitics in general. It wasn't any specific focus. Today is going to be a specific focus on the U.S. So I want to talk about the geopolitics of America right now, things going on here that affect, affects us globally. Because I thought that would be a easy jump off, starting with American politics for well, for an American audience, that'd probably be the most things of which they are aware, right? So that's where we're gonna start today, and it doesn't have to be any specific state or any specific topic. You guys can just launch into it, or I'll suggest something, and then we can just converse on that, right? Um, what I was saying though, as I was prefacing the discussion, is that as we talk about different geopolitical topics in different nations and regions of the world, I'm leaving CHINA off the table because I think YouTube doesn't like talk about CHINA. So other than that, any country we're good to go. Um, Jackson says, "Needle, did you paint your house blue?" Wait, what? Miss Neal says, "Jackson, you recommend me doing that? Don't do that." Uh, I the colors of these walls are well in this bedroom is like a aqua. I don't know, like a aqua green, aqua blue, whatever color, but it's only this room. It's not the whole house. Um, when my mother had painted all the different walls many eons ago, I think she got inspiration from one of her coworkers who was Mexican, and she found out that they have very colorful homes. So she wanted to mimic that, so she colored the walls of each room different colors. So, but I myself, I mean, it's personal preference, but I wouldn't recommend blue, depending on, you know, again, your color preferences or what you're doing in that room. Jesse says, question, hypothetically, say you have 1 million subscribers. If you make $10,000 in super chats in one stream, are you taxed on 10,000 or the 6,000 you actually received? Uh, um, so I'm not sure because we're taxed as basically like we're basically taxed as contract workers, right? So I've already filled out my tax income when I got monetized by YouTube several months ago. So obviously it's gonna depend on your state for one, because they gotta take big, the state has to take its cut, feds take their cut, and if you live in a city, the city's gonna take their cut. So I don't get local tax, just state and federal. Maryland is a very highly taxed state, so that's not well. But if you're asking whether they tax the the net profit or the gross profit, I'm not sure, to be honest. I forgot. I'm pretty sure when I read through the all the stuff when I agreed to the YouTube partnership, it probably specified that. But honestly, I don't remember whether they tax it on the net on the net or the gross. So I'm not sure. Um, Jack says, on the other side of the world, we believe you should live your life. It depends on what side of the world you're talking about, because that's definitely not true in the many, 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 many countries in the world. You should live your life to a certain. Every country has its limits. um, there's no there's no society where there's just like pure like where there's like no sort of government interference. Like you ha- you have to have government interference to make sure you have a cult, uh, a society that does not run amok with chaos. Because I mean, as much as people may hate things like law enforcement and um, you know civil law, criminal law, all these politics, you need these things for a well-running society. So I don't believe there's any place where you can just live your life. What I will say is there are some places that are better than others. We all know that, right? I mean, we can say it's subjective or not, but clearly there's some places to live that are better than others. At the barest minimum, I think we should agree to that there are some places that are better to live than others. Um, Jesse says because we might be all be paying YouTube's taxes. I don't I don't know what you mean. So I know so I think you have a channel too, right, Jesse? How like I said, you can they don't hide how they make their money through their YouTube partnership program with content creators. Everything is spelled out clearly. It's just that most people don't take the time to read through all of that stuff because everyone just pretty much scrolls down the the we call it the EOS or whatever. Um, everyone just rushes through the contract, doesn't, and just signs it, and just to get, because no one wants to read that legalese. Like, and I'll be honest, I didn't read all of it, but I did at least skim through it. I would check like I would look at each like major topic sentence and say, okay, this is that, this is that, this is that, that. But I didn't read through the whole thing either. But I at least skimmed it, so I at least knew what I was going into when I agreed to the YouTube partnership program. I didn't want to just totally not know what I'm doing and end up like the end up signing my life to Big Red. You might not know that reference, but it's from a classic black movie from the '90s called the what do they call it, the the five heartbeats or whatever. They were based off like the Temptations and other little doo-wop groups like that back in the day. And it was this little shady boss, like producer, whatever, named Big Red. And this guy came up to him because Big Red was stealing his, was like, kind of snaking him for his money. He was like, Big Red, he said, I need to talk to you, man, about my money. He was like, uh, that's fine. That's fine, young brother. But my my working hours are from 9 to 5. He was like, nah, fuck that, Big Red. I need to talk to you right now, nigga. He said, what? Took that man, hung him out the window. He said, now what the did I tell you? When are my working hours? From 9 to, to, to 5? He said, that's right. Then he turned around. He's like, ladies? he basically pulled a Suge Knight before Suge Knight. Like that must have been like Suge Knight's like role model or something, Big Red. But if you don't know what I'm talking about, watch the classic movie The Five Heartbeats. It's actually a really good movie. And you'll if you see that scene, you're gonna laugh because you're gonna remember me doing it right now. Not doing it a disservice, by the way, because it's a much better scene than the way I poorly acted it out. But yeah, I don't think YouTube is like Big Red or Suge Knight or whoever that Jewish guy was that was the manager of NWA at the time in Easy E. I forgot that guy's name, but again, I'm not going to demonize YouTube. They're a business, and no one is forced to work with YouTube. Like to become a YouTube part of the YouTube partnership program, you had to apply for it. They don't like. I mean, you could make content on here and never even become part of the YouTube partnership program. You could just make content, and they might offer it to you. You might just say no, or you just be like, hey, I don't want to make content on YouTube. I'm going to make it instead on Instagram through their reels and IG lives. Some people just do IG. Others just do TikTok or Twitch, Facebook, Rumble. Rumble is like the platform for all the people kicked off all the other platforms. um, if Since this is the Christmas season, people might remember from Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer, the island of misfit toys. Well, Rumble is the island of misfit content creators. So people like the Andrew Tates, the Fresh and Fits, the Just Pearly Things, uh, the what's his name? Tweedo, Tico, whatever his name is. Um, the Latino kid that works with Fresh and Fit. All those guys got kicked off of multiple platforms here on YouTube. Uh, like they still make stuff, but they're permanently demonetized on YouTube, so they have to get their revenue from other platforms. So just Pearly Things, Fresh and Fit, Tico, Kiko, whatever, whatever his name is. Um, all those people, they go to Rumble. Rumble is the social platform for the Misfit toys, or the island of Misfit content creators, whichever you want to call it. So, not like I said, you don't have to go by YouTube's rules. You can just say, hey, I'm just going to make content on those other platforms. But clearly, YouTube is one of the biggest. And especially depending on your age range, it's going to be for folks who probably aren't tweens. Like the younger folks that can go to Twitch and TikTok. I didn't want to make stuff for people who don't have attention spans like TikTok and Twitch, which is ironic because you got 24-hour live streamers on Twitch, like that that Timu version of Lil Wayne, Kai Sanat, looks like a booger with dreads. Anyway, um, he and after this, I'm not gonna talk anymore about this financial stuff because that's not what we're here about. But um, yeah, I mean, I'm not gonna demonize YouTube for making money. That's what they're here. That's what we're all here to do. If you're part of their partnership program, and for them, they are a media company, so they gotta make their money through the ad revenue that their content creators, produce. I think it's a, I think it's, I think it's fair. It's an equivalent exchange. You have people who have become millionaires. I mean, people like Mr. Beast and PewDiePie are make more money and are more famous than Hollywood actors, and they do it without having any particular talent. they just they just have charisma and work hard, so and have quite a bit of luck on their side. This case it was Catherine says, "Can you do multi streams on different platforms?" So I think I answered that. So like I said, I don't think you can go live on multiple platforms at once, but again, I have to look that up. Miss Needle says, "Catherine, with multiple devices, I think you can." Oh, so that's a good point that Miss Needle's making. So you can set up. So if you have so for the big content creators who actually have their own studios, like whether they have a studio set up in their homes or they actually like got office space, like went out and bought or rented some office space to set up a studio, you can probably go live on multiple platforms if you're using multiple devices at once. So yeah, I guess you can do that because I think I did notice when Kevin Samuels was still alive that he would go live both I think on IG and on YouTube at the same time. But obviously in doing so, he was using multiple devices at once, like several cameras. But again, he also had people who produced his content for him. So that's going to be easier, like I said, when you have like a built-in studio in your home or some office space, and you can use multiple devices at once. So good. Miss Needle makes a good point, but she's more talented in that stuff too. Also, so guys, not only she's a musician, she's tech savvy. Like she does all her own stuff. All those music videos you see on her channel, and you need to go see her channel. She does that herself. So she can sing and she can do like a whole bunch of technical stuff. Like I said, there's no reason she shouldn't have like 100,000 followers. Miss Needle says otherwise, probably you might overload your internet bandwidth, but not sure. BSK says just check CG low volume ongoing. Okay, so volume's all the way up. He said heard YouTube snipes 30% DNK. No, I've totally made that number up. I was just using as an example. I was saying I was I was I was making fun of them saying it was very. I was saying it was like kicking up to the family and a mafia family where you gotta you know if you're just a lowly connected guy, you're not a made guy. You gotta kick up to the soldiers who gotta kick up to their captain, who gotta kick up to the boss of the family. and I was saying, that's 10% to the soldier, 10% to the captain, and 10% to the boss. So I just made up that whole 30% just to be funny. It actually might be more than that. So I'm not sure. Chris says, "What's the topic and conversation today?" What's up, Chris? First of all, so the topic is geopolitics, and today I'm talking about particularly the geopolitics of American of American well, how American politics has been globalized. So that's what I'm talking about for today. Like each day, I'm gonna do a different topic on geopolitics. If I knew Miss Nita was gonna be here, I would have started with Europe, but I wasn't sure she was gonna be here, so I just started with America. But if you're gonna be here tomorrow, Miss Needle, just tell me what time and we can discuss Europe because I want to get into the stuff you were telling me about yesterday. Okay. But she says, yeah, Chris, geopolitics. BSK says, have seen Rumble, YouTube simultaneously for sure. So you've seen people going live on both Rumble and YouTube. Like I said, it's probably people like Fresh and Fit because, again, most of the people on Rumble are people who cannot get monetized on YouTube. They've been kicked off of YouTube. People like uh, Kiko or whatever his name is and Fresh and Fit. And I don't feel sorry for them because they were warned multiple times through YouTube of violating their policies before they got kicked off. John Doyle says, "Oh man." Riz says, "How about spending U.S. tax dollars in Ukraine?" That's a good one. So for those who don't know, I've my very first video, and if you want to go click like after this live stream, if you want to go all the way down into my catalog of videos to my very first one is about Ukraine, and I pretty much said this, and I'm gonna keep saying it. Fuck Ukraine. And this is not a diss to any individual Ukrainian because I have had people from Ukraine actually come onto my live streams in the past. So I had nothing against them individually, but collectively, the government and the people, I said fuck them because uh, we should not be spending money on them when we can't even take care of our own domestic issues. So, I mean, in just one uh, spending spree, we sent them $200 billion. Where did that go? Of all, why keep sending money to a country that's continually to lose? For what? I mean, talk about a sunk cost. Like this is literally a sunk cost. Like sending money, you know, just continuously, and not like millions of dollars, but billions with a B to a country that's still losing to Russia. On top of that, at any time, Russia could just say, "Hey, I'm tired of this interference from other countries helping you." If like Russia at any time could just say, "Hey, if U.S. or NATO sends them $1 more, we're just gonna drop a bomb on their ass." They can always do that. Like, is there's no winning strategy for Ukraine other than what they should have did last year, which was work on a negotiation. Actually, there was talks of a negotiation a year ago, and Biden's administration said no, but want to tell us they don't have money to give us back money for to give student loan forgiveness or help people with these high uh, these 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 food and medical bills and other sorts of things. One thing that Trump has put on the table is to stop giving foreign aid. Why are we giving foreign aid? I get its overall role in diplomacy and foreign diplomacy, but what are the American taxpayers getting out of spending billions of dollars in foreign aid? And yes, it's not a huge, and for people who want to run the numbers, yes, the money we give in foreign aid is not a huge part of our GDP. The biggest expenditure of our GDP is to the national defense, right? Then the second one is on the entitlement programs like Medicare, Medicaid, and Social Security. Those are the two biggest. But still, foreign aid is still makes up a huge chunk, which could be going to much better usage. So yeah, I agree, Reds. Like, why we why is textiles going to a losing country? And the reason why I said not just fuck the Ukraine, the government, but fuck the people is because when the war broke out 2 years ago, people were fleeing Ukraine, and they actively stopped uh, African and Indian immigrants. Some of them who were like, you know, foreign exchange students, or maybe working there on a work visa, actively stopped these people from being able to leave the country, and even told some of them that they were going to be um, basically enlisted into the Ukrainian armed forces. I'm like, what the? So I was like, first of all, so you're preventing some of them from it, fleeing the country, and you're telling some of them that they had to go fight. Man, fuck Ukraine. On top of that, a lot of them are fucking Nazis. So people try to say Putin was lying that there's Nazis in the country. No, he's not. They had a whole fucking regiment that is the what did the fuck they call themselves, the Vazikov, whatever you call them. They have a whole fucking regiment that is Nazis, a whole fucking military regiment. And on top of that, there's many ethnic Ukrainians who have, Nazi propaganda symbolism in their houses and stuff like that. So don't sit there and say Putin was lying. He was not lying. Now, granted, he may have been using that as an ad hoc reason for why he's attacking them, which clearly it was an ad hoc reason. But just because it was an ad hoc reason didn't mean it was false, because it is quite true that there's a lot of neo-Nazi sympathy in that country. So overall, being a black American, I was like, fuck Ukraine. So I still stand on that. Rid says tariffs on Canada and Mexico, so that's a different subject as well. If people want to jump into that, he basically wants to tariff Canada and Mexico to as punishment for allowing the free flow of illegal immigrants across our borders into the U.S. Like, it's like, why isn't Canada's law enforcement stopping them? Why isn't Mexico's law enforcement stopping these folks? Because most of them are coming over across the Mexican border. So he's like, all right, so you're gonna keep allowing illegal immigrants to cross illegally into our borders, many of them criminals, when you could, like, when it's like we share a border, so just like we are trying to prevent them on our side, you guys should be preventing them on your side. It's like, okay, well, if you're not gonna help us in this crisis, in this border crisis, then we're just gonna tariff the shit out of you. So people like criticizing Trump, saying, well, the way tariff, people who never did taxes, never known anything about tax law, except what they see on MSNBC and CNN, now are acting like fucking experts, saying, well, actually, the tariffs will only hurt Americans because the tariffs are really taxes on the stuff that comes into the country that the consumer pays. And I'm like, yes, but the point is, if those tariffs are so high that Americans won't buy those products because they aren't because of, they're unaffordable, and hence become undesirable to buy, then whom does that affect? The producer of those goods and services. I don't know. I mean, the dude does have a fucking degree in economics from UPenn, despite people thinking he's stupid. But he's really not. Not to mention, if tariffs were so bad, then why did all the previous administrations use tariffs in similar ways as well? Again, people keep acting like he's doing stuff that's completely novel that no other presidents were doing. It's just that whenever he does it, it's seen as something evil or misguided. But whenever anyone else does it, it's just being presidential, right? This This is the hypocrisy of of people when they are political ideologues. Anyway, let me stop. Let me get off my pulpit, like off my what do you call it? Off my high box or whatever pulpit. What you know, whatever the word is. Crispy says if you're just scrolling, does not show your topic headline. So yeah. So again, guys, the current topic for this stream is geopolitics and you know America's how American politics is affecting everyone globally. Catherine says that Chris, the topic is geopolitical troubles here in the U.S. Yep, that's the way I phrased it though. Geopolitical troubles here in the U.S. Myra Loughton says like where, for example. What do you mean like where? Are you saying where are the geopolitical troubles here in the U.S.? I will argue everywhere because we're as you know um, as a nation, all our states are interconnected when it when we're talking about geopolitics. Then there are specific states that may have particular issues with geopolitically, as they are very um, either affluential states like California, um, or because they are affected through things like the border crisis, like in the states in the southwest and the Gulf of Mexico, or talking about the rise of organized crime because of um, these illegal immigrants coming from Venezuela and other places, affecting places all over the country. We know what happened in Aurora, Colorado earlier this year with the Venezuelan prison gang Tren de Agua. They start off as a prison gang in Venezuela. Venezuela let out a lot of their prisoners and sent them off across the fucking border. And again, so that's why I agree with Trump saying, hey, if Mexico's not going to stem the flow of illegal immigrants coming across the border, then we'll just tear up the shit out of them, right? Because if they were truly refugees, then they should just find refuge in the next state over, in the next country over. Why are they traveling several countries up specifically to come to the U.S.? Um, it's like they're not actual refugees. There's no war going on in Venezuela. um, but like the stuff they were doing, and then and then you have like people out of pure political ideology, the Democrats and liberals, were claiming that these fucking Venezuelans weren't take did not take over a fucking apartment complex and weren't terrorizing the neighborhoods in Aurora and other parts of Colorado. When we have video footage of it, CCT, CCTV footage of the stuff going on of them holding people in an apartment complex at gunpoint, forcing them out of their apartments. They've even spread to my home state of Maryland. Now, in a part of Baltimore, I don't know if it's the Venezuelan prison gang, but it's definitely Latinos that are robbing people and beating up old people in a part of Baltimore. I'm surprised. It's called Park Heights. So, if guys you want to know about that place, you can look it up, Google it. Park Heights is a very troubled part of Baltimore. So to see Latinos moving into a already pretty roughing community and basically, terrorize the older people living in that neighborhood as if they don't already have enough problems. That's pretty bold because at any point one of these older people could find some family members to deal with someone like that. But it goes to show that this is probably organized. And like I said, I can't say if it's Tren de Agua or whatever the name of that little fuck off Venezuelan gang is called. I don't know if I'm pronouncing it correctly, but in any case, I know they are in Maryland now. Like we already had Latino gang problems with the MS-15, So do we really need now this Venezuelan gang here too? So yeah, we need mass deportations. I don't care how harsh that sounds. Kick their asses out of here. Keep the women, send the guys out. I'm joking. Actually, I'm not really joking. But yeah, get them the fuck out of here. And again, Trump said like, hey, any any of these countries, if they don't take back their citizens, tear up the shit out of them. Red says, what are you talking about? I was answering your question. Let's stay focused. Jesse says Rumble is awesome. The chat isn't edited. Yeah, that's what I've heard. Jesse says Sleazy P Martini is on there. I've never heard of him. He says it's more like the Mad Lad area. No, I'm just gonna call Rumble for what it really is. It's the island of misfit content creators. It really is because they've been kicked off of every major platform on the internet. So Rumble is the last place they can go. The Andrew and Tristan Tates, the Fresh and Fits, the Kiko, whatever, the Just Pearly Things. All these misfits that got kicked off of YouTube multiply multiply violating the rules on this platform and on Instagram and on TikTok. Like, how the fuck you get kicked off of TikTok? MZ says, don't forget to drink water. Thank you. Drink water. Train to kill, drill sergeant. Cool. Brian says all platforms of public conveyances should be open to all opinions, not heavily censoring one side. They are public, but they are privately owned. That's what you're not getting, Brian. People misconstrue the First Amendment. The First Amendment does not restrict private industries from regulating their industries and firms within those industries from controlling what uh, can be done or said in those private companies. That's the difference between private industry and public meaning government in this case. I think you're using a different you're construing public in a different way. Public in a legal sense is like is government. Like when you say someone's a public servant, meaning they work for the government, as opposed to private, meaning they work for a you know a commercial business or some sort of firm. Um, so a private company can restrict what their employees say, or their, in this case, independent contractors. That's not that does not infringe on their First Amendment rights. To infringe on someone's First Amendment rights would be the government doing so. If the government said, "Hey, you can't say this," or "Hey, you can't practice this religion," or "Hey, you can't express yourself in this or that way," or "Hey, you can't, you know, we're not going to give you freedom of the press here," all this sort of stuff. Those are First Amendment issues. But to allow a private industry to regulate themselves is not an infringement of First Amendment rights. I think this is why they need to go back to teaching civics back in high school, because a lot of people really don't understand that. They think that you have a right to say or do anything you want, regardless of where you are. If you private look, a private firm is a dictatorship. You are they could, within limits, they can run it how they want. This is the whole reason it's private in the first place, so they can run it how they want. Now, unless they're receiving government subsidies for that industry, like certain public utilities, then that's a different thing. It could get messy when you talk about something like a public utility. But for the nuns, if we're talking about a private entertainment and media firm, you do you, they are not, they have no reason to listen to all your opinions. You sound like someone young and probably never took civics, to be honest. Uh, Jesse was saying exactly. Al Gator says, "Can you say hi to my friend?" No. If you want me to say hi to anyone, drop a super chat. If you want to ask me a question that doesn't have to do with the headline, drop a super chat. Otherwise, fuck off. Captain says, please like, share, subscribe, buy Contrarian a coffee, or drop a super chat. Brian says, YouTube will have millions more viewers if they were fair and balanced. Dude, YouTube has billions of viewers. You are young. You sound like what are you like 15 years old? Do you know how many people watch people like Mr. Beast alone? This dude had like 100 million subscribers or something like that. You talking about they would have millions more? No, they wouldn't. The only way to grow their platform bigger, they would have it would be it would be a matter of internet connectivity. So places that have a bad internet infrastructure, like in the Philippines, most people get their internet through Facebook in the Philippines. So they have billions of viewers, billions. So what you're saying doesn't make sense. Like again, you sound pretty young and don't really know what you're talking about. You should probably, and I'm gonna say this with a little, I'm gonna say this unironically since YouTube is owned by Google, but you should probably do a Google search before you make such blanketed statements. Because again, YouTube is a platform used by billions of people. I mean, there are probably a million or so content creators on YouTube alone that create content for billions of viewers. So anyway, Agnes says good night, just coming in. She said, "Will the new administration give us help with our student loans?" So I haven't heard. I, so I haven't heard Trump address anything with the student loans. Only thing I've heard is that he wants to get rid of the Department of Education, and most people seem on his side of the on his side of politics seem to be for it. Um, and I wouldn't be. It would be more efficient because first of all, the Department of Education hasn't done shit since it was established in 1979 by former President Jimmy Carter. It hasn't done anything since 1979. The only thing it pretty much does is kind of just suck the teats of the teachers union. It doesn't do anything for our students. And most of the stuff done by the Department of Education can be divvied out to other governmental departments. Um, but I haven't heard him address anything about student loans because obviously I want mine wiped out too, right? But I haven't heard him say anything. Moonlit Fern, what's up, man? He said allegedly. Did you kick anyone with that bionic foot yet? Funny. Miss Nia says, Moon, how's the foot? Moonlit says, I mean, I'll find out next Saturday when I get the x-rays. Cass says, hi, Moonlit. Miss Nia says, function and feet are an important asset, you know. I mean, facts. These are facts. And Moonlit laugh. I'm telling you, watch. Moonlit Moonlit is gonna be in the Moonlit's gonna get his foot is gonna heal. Next thing you know, we gonna find him like in Lapini Stadium on a one fighting championship match. They like, and here it comes. Like I'm not gonna say real name, but here it comes so and so, super leg. They be like, oh, here it comes. Ding 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 ding. Oh, he's going for the roundhouse. Ooh wee! They're like KO. And if anyone's ever seen a Muay Thai like referee, man, they earn every penny. I swear. Like they will straight up, you knock someone out, they will dive onto that person to make sure you don't accidentally so you don't kick them again because it's against the rules to kick someone when they're down or punch someone when they're down in Muay Thai. When someone goes to the ground, you're not allowed to hit them. Unlike um, unlike Sanda, which is Chinese kickboxing, or I think even in Cambodian kickboxing, I think you can kick them when they're down. But like they'll just dive into the person. Oh, oh, like all right, go back, super leg, go back, go back. Stop. Agnes says, please like, share, and subscribe to the stream. Thank you. Um, Catherine says he loves them wheelchairs. Are y'all laughing? Catherine laughs. Most of y'all don't want a roast battle. Stay on topic. Park Heights is no joke. You know about Park Heights? Well, I mean, I'm sure they mentioned it in The Wire, but if you actually know Park Heights, like that's where I was. Before I moved around, that's where I was originally from. And where I was at was weird. I had a friend laugh and say, "Oh, you was from Little Upper Park Heights," which I was like, "I don't even know what that means." Then another guy said, "Well, that wasn't." He said, "Technically, that wasn't Park Heights. That was so and so." But it was Park Heights. The reason they kept giving me shit about where I lived in Park Heights because it was sandwiched right between. I was in an area right between the nice Jewish part and the really ratchet part, so it was like right in between. Um, and like so, I live right there. So you have a thriving like upper middle class Jewish community right in Park, right on in Park Heights. Then the other part of Park Heights is like fucking Haiti. It's like Port-au-Prince, Haiti. Right, it's just going down, and a huge population within the black part of Park Heights is a Jamaican community. So I live right there. Like when I was a kid, I had a Jamaican nanny, so that was my first. Some of the first food I ate was like Jamaican food, and so it was pretty bad. But when you're a kid, you can't really tell how bad things are. Plus, I left in the early '80s, right before it got really, really bad in like the late '80s, early '90s, which was like it was like a hellhole, and it's never really gotten that much better since then. They even have like a Park Heights dance that got like pretty well known across the country a few years ago. Like if people know that meteorologist from New York City, I think he's on like Fox News in New York City. He even came to Baltimore, was doing a little Park Heights dance. But yeah, Park Heights is rough, very rough. So the fact that you got Latino kings moving in and robbing people and beating up older people, that's pretty bad. Because you gotta have a lot of balls to be some Spanish immigrant robbing people in an already very bad place. That's like I don't know. That's like coming into Afghanistan with the Taliban already smacking people up, and then you come up and start beating up on some of them. It's like what? Moonlit says you good, Nito and Cat. Moonlit says headbutt that like button. Did I catch up with my messages? I don't know. I caught up with my messages already. But yeah, so getting back to like geopolitics here in America. So like I said, the border crisis, the the international crime coming here. The funny thing is with all the focus on um like the immigrants and stuff like that, it's taken the eyes off of the people who still here, Cosa Nostra and the other the other the rival to Cosa Nostra, the Chicago Syndicate. Because the Cosa Nostra is like mostly the five families of New York with their satellite families in places like New Jersey, Philly, Boston, um, Toronto, Montreal, Miami, Baltimore. and parts of the Midwest, whereas the syndicate based out of Chicago is all over the Midwest and the South and some of those flyover states all the way into California. Um, it's taking a lot of heat off off those Italian crime families, but there's still a problem. Although, like I've said like a year or so ago, the irony is compared to like gang culture, when it comes to organized crime, usually the safest place to live is where the bosses of organized crime families live. No one's popping off in a neighborhood where the organized crime members live, because those are going to be the safest neighborhoods. No one would dare pop off because they know the consequences. Even Thomas Sowell mentioned this, the economist and public intellectual Thomas Sowell. He said he said growing up, he said usually the safest places to live was where the mafia was where the mafia families members live. He says though they police those communities, no one would dare do something crazy in one of those neighborhoods. Captain says you did good. GJC says, man, you timed me out yesterday for talking about Ireland. I'm sorry. First of all, that wasn't me. That was Moonlit. I didn't. And he did that by mistake. Um, I think because when you were saying, uh, you know, that Northern Ireland should break off from the UK, and I guess Moonlit didn't want that to, become a big, you know, that could be a very a very contentious thing to say. Because I was saying I don't think in this day and age it's very pragmatic to think that they should separate. I don't. I think it would be probably be as asinine as saying Scotland should go independent or Wales. Like at this point, they're unified. I don't think it's a workable solution. But I didn't time you out. uh, Moon says we have good immigrants, but I think most people don't understand we get a lot of bad ones too. But maybe just every country is going through that. Well, the thing America allow. This is another thing people don't understand. People who get mad when people talk about they need to get rid of illegal immigrants. So two things about that. One, America takes in more immigrants than any other country in the world, and people can fact check me on that. America takes in more immigrants than any other country in the world, and that's number one. Number two is no one's most of us aren't anti-immigrant. We're anti-illegal immigration. Illegal illegal immigration by definition is a crime. When you cross into another country's borders illegally, you're committing a crime. You didn't come here through the proper channels. Let's say you really are leaving some war torn or shithole country. Then come here as a refugee. There are proper channels to come across the border as a refugee. Or if you want to just come in, you know, uh, to to work or live or whatever, go through the visa. I mean, go through the proper channels. Like the big, who the people who the people who dislike illegal immigrants the most? Legal immigrants. Legal immigrants hate illegal immigrants the most because they you have people who've come from really bad places and it took them years to come here legally, get their green card, and eventually get their citizenship. It took time and it took money. And just to see these little assholes come across the border illegally, be like, well, I'm here. You just got to accept me. No. Like, if, look, if Javier can do it legally, so can Mario. And I'm just using these names. I'm just don't. I'm just using these. I'm just making up these hypothetical names. But yeah, if Javier can do it legally, so can Mario. Okay. If if PK can do it legally coming from Cambodia, then so can Ming Ming from China. But nah, we saw last year on fucking 2020, these Chinese immigrants were coming here illegally across the Texas Mexico border onto this man's property, and the federal government told him he could do nothing about it. So we're gonna put that L on Biden. We're gonna put that L on him. They told this man on his private property he could not keep these people from coming onto his property. What does it mean? You have me dying. But nah, look, if someone can flee Cambodia as a refugee or whatever, and they have refugee like communities like in Texas, they have a Cambodian refugee community in Texas, right? For Cambodians, like if they can come here legally, why are these Chinese people coming here illegally? Like they literally had like TikTok videos showing these motherfuckers how to how to cross the border illegally, and like this guy had you got all these little people who own property along the border who can't do anything about it. The federal law enforcement has stopped them from doing anything out of you know through the border czar, even though she didn't want to claim it, Kami Haha, aka Kamala, and 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 Sleepy Joe, what's my name, Jack Biden. he they told they told they told INS to stand down, told ICE to stand down. Like this guy, like they would literally come onto this man's property, burning down his trees for firewood, and he couldn't do anything. He came out once onto his property, tried to scare them off with a gun. Mind you, he's on his own properties with people illegally on his property. So it's not like he's brandishing. You're not brandishing on your own personal property a firearm against people who are illegally trespassing on your property. That's not brandishing. But took him into jail for it. So now he just does nothing. And you had the fucking border patrol agents right there just freely watching these folks come onto the border, onto this man's property and get Ubers. And I shit you not. If you guys think I'm lying, watch that 2020 video. It is here on YouTube. You can watch it, and it's um, the full episode. Couldn't do nothing. So yeah, we're not anti-immigrant. We're anti-illegal immigrant because there's no. I feel the most for the legal immigrants because I have no problem with immigrants. It's illegal immigrants. They're criminals just by the very definition of what they're doing. They come here illegally because they know they could come here through proper channels, but they don't because for one, Mexico isn't stopping them. They're not using Mexico's not using law enforcement to stop them from coming across the border. And for the most part, neither is Canada. This is why Trump wants to tear up the shit out of both of them if they continue letting that happen. So, but let me get back to the comments. Uh, yeah, I'm gonna say yeah, that was me, Jay. My bad. I have Irish blood too. He said, "Cheers, Jay." He said, uh, "J.A.C says all good." Eric says, "Canada's proof they're relying on over immigration does not bolster the economy." Exactly. Yeah, we can get into Canada too. Catherine says, "Totally agree. We had the same issue in Australia. Come right way or don't come at all." So at least Australia, at least you guys like you're a you're a continent that surround like you're a continent that's separated from all the other continents. Like you don't have like you don't form a supercontinent landmass like like North America and Europe because you know Europe is part of Eurasia, which is a huge landmass, and it's you're not going to complete. You can't staunch the flow of people coming back and forth across those borders because it's interconnected. It's not separated by oceans the way Australia is. So at least for people coming to Australia illegally, you know, they're gonna have to. It's gonna take them a little bit of grit, okay, but it doesn't. It's not as hard here in as here in the U.S. We're also a large landmass too, from North America to South America. Like so, that's why you have people coming all the way down from Venezuela, all the way up to the United States, because they can do it without actually ever having to hit the water. But there are some people who do get by coming on boats too. But most of the people sneak right up uh, on land because there's no not that's why Trump wanted to build the wall back in his first term. But most of the Southwest is open land. Is open, and because Mexico doesn't pretty much stop these people from coming across, we try to stop them on our side, but they don't really stop it on their side. Like people, millions, excuse me, millions of people come over every year. And usually, what happens is that INS allows them to stay here while they're processing their cases. Meanwhile, they lose in a lot of instances they completely lose track of where these of the whereabouts of these people once they allow them to stay here and allow their cases to get processed. That's not safe. That is a national security issue. You should not just allow them to freely roam the country while their cases are being processed. Um, um, Jay says you have to accept immigrants strategically. Canada's a mess right now. We have people from India having a war with each other on our streets. Bloody fuck you. No, you bloody fuck you. No, let me stop. Let me stop. Let me stop. I fuck you up the ass with some chutney, mother scrunter. What? I'll rain down on you from the skies of Vishnu on your bloody ass. Let me stop. Stop. Let me stop. Oh god, that's bad. All right, sorry guys. This I'll be getting to my. This is why I got limited ads yesterday. Let me stop. Wow, bad. See, Jay, you should have told me that. You know I'm bad, man. Oh shit. Mullen said F Biden, he pardoned his son. Right. I bet you that man took a big snort as soon as they pardoned him. He is like, thank you, Dad. Oh, let me stop. Actually, I'm about to get me a rug and tug right now. Call up, call up, the little Asian parlor, Ming Ming's foot and toes. Stop. It's getting late. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Oh shit. Let me stop. Oh man. Jay says Sikhs want their own country and other Indians are attacking them. It's crazy. That's remember like the first and yeah, I think the first Indian girl I had like a little crush on. It was like my senior year of high school, and she was a Sikh. No, no, no. I think she was liking me because I told my Indian homeboy, like one of my best friends was Indian, like in high school and up until college. Um, and then we kind of fell apart since then. Still a great guy. Um, but I remember in high school I was talking about this girl. He was like, "Yo, she's a Sikh." I was like, "Okay, what are Sikhs?" He was like, he said he was like, "You never noticed why she bleaches her mustache?" I was like, yeah, I did see some hair, like, but I thought it was just. He's like, nah, man. He's like, she probably got like. He said that hairy. He said they don't believe in cutting their hair. He's like, so he said she probably just bleached it. He said, so yo, she gonna be hairy everywhere. I was like, word. He was like, yeah, man. I was like, but she's cute though. I said she always smile at me in chemistry class and like we talk or whatever. And my homeboy, my Indian homeboy, he's like, I don't know, man. He's like, it was funny, but yeah, I don't have a problem with Sikhs. Matter of fact, and then the funny thing is, after I learned more about Sikhs, I thought they were gonna be like uptight. And so again, my Indian homeboy and I, this is when nightclubs were the shit. So if you knew the nightclub scene in DC, Washington DC in the '90s and early 2000s, it was lit. It was lit. You know what I'm saying? Club Love, Club Dream, Waterfront, um, DC Live. I can name like a dozen clubs. Like every hot nightclub at the time I went to back then, from the, from 17 to like 25. Right. But anyway, so we're at this one club. I think it was like International Night or something, and it was like all Indian people, and they were playing like a lot of Bhangra music. So Bhangra or Bhangra La. So there's Bhangra, which is like sort of like the pop the pop music of India. Then there's Bhangra La, which is like Indian pop music mixed with hip hop. So Missy Elliott actually used a Bhangra La song in one of her classic songs when it and I forgot what song it is, but when it was playing, my homeboy was telling me what the person singing in the background was actually saying. Because I was like, I thought you didn't speak Hindi. He said, well, I don't speak it. He said, but he said, I don't know how to speak it. He said, but I do understand it. He was like, he said the girl saying in the song, it's an old Missy Elliott song, guys. He was like the girl saying, I love him, but I don't know if I can be with him because he's a player and all this sort of stuff. But I can't remember the name of the song. But if you remember this Missy Elliott song where you hear like this sort of like foreign language in the background, that's Bangla music. So anyway, we're there. So we're at this one club. It's like either Indian night or international night, whatever. And they're playing like hip hop. They're playing Bangla. They're playing reggae. And I come up. We just arrive on the scene. It's me, my homeboy, his girlfriend, and her homegirl who I had a crush on. And we're all just sitting there chilling. And as soon as we come up there, this girl's come, this Indian girl look at me. She starts smiling and start, doing her little thing or whatever. And this random dude, he's a Sikh, like he has on the head wrap and all of that. He comes up to me. He's like, yo, she on you, man. He said, get up on that ass, B. Get up on that ass, son. I'm like, all right. So I just started dancing with her. She was, she liked me. She gave me her number and all that. But anyway, all that's to say that I have no problem with Sikhs. I think they're good folks. As far as their politics and how their rivalries with other people in the the Indian and Desi community, I don't know because we have different people. I think the worst thing is for people to come from these other countries and bring all their cultural baggage with them here. And I think the best way to avoid dealing with the cultural baggage back in the previous country is not to move into communities just set up for your own people, because you're basically going to get the same bullshit you were trying to leave there. Say in Indian culture you have Dalits, which are the so-called untouchables at the bottom of the caste system. The best thing for a Dalit to do when they move to America or the UK is to not settle in the Desi Indian community, because otherwise they're still going to be treated as Dalits by their own people. So anyway, I wanted to be serious since I was talking some random stuff. Moonless says I understand Jace, but he said, but I think Canada is too deeper into their government. Jay says, oh, Canadian government's awful right now. Yeah, we know. We know. Mona says, I know, right? Mona says, but y'all have a voice, use it. Um, Mona says, I'm an immigrant here, just legally, right? That's what we were talking about yesterday when we were talking about American expats, Moonlit. Um, um, Jay says the premiers of the provinces are rallying against Trudeau right now. Yeah, I think they're tired of his crap. Random aviation kid says, hi, what's going on? Mullen says Australia has a huge immigration problem, mainly Somalians and a handful of others. Oh, you don't want Somal. I'm going to say it. I'm going to. You don't want Somalians there. Again, people from war-torn countries have a bad habit of bringing their bullshit with them to other countries when the very point of them immigrating from their countries is to leave behind that BS, but they bring it with them. Like if you're coming from a war torn country, leave that bullshit behind or don't come. Straight up. Catherine says we get crap loads of illegal boat people though. Our borders are vast and can't be fully policed. Jay says Ontario, Canada is the biggest purchaser of American bourbon, and it was announced today they may ban it. Hey, it sucks for them then, right? Unless they're gonna buy it black market style. Moon's laughing at Cash. She said, "This dude said boat people. That's the quote of the day." He said, "LOL, bloody." He said, "I love it. I'm dead." Oh yeah, I was reacting to what I was saying a minute ago. He said, "Let me catch my breath." Let me. Let me stop. They won't. They don't know that song, Moonlit. Anyway, Moonlit said, Missy Elliott dancing in trash bags. Let me flip it. Let me work it. Oh, this work. It's now. Moonlit said, cat got drunk. Jay says we got a Jamaican neighborhood at a gang war with a Somali neighborhood in Toronto. Places shot up here every night. Damn, bunch of Somalians versus Jamaicans. That's not a good look. That would be bad. Will Ross Clark? Will Ross Clark bang the old place? Yeah, rude boy style. I don't know what the Somalians say, so I can't even make up a fucking accent for them, other than maybe someone saying, "I'm the captain now." Stop. Oh shit. Amula says Wagwan, Jamaica. The W. Jay says when you go to America, you're American, but when you go to Canada, you're still Indian or whatever. We aren't a melting pot. Fair enough. Fair enough. I thought Canada, because Canada, I I appreciate you being honest, because Canada always like I always see Canadians trying to bullshit and say that a lot of these problems only happen in America. Like I legit had someone I remember this was like mm, 12, 15 years ago, legit tried to tell me that racism is only here in America. I was like, bruh, cut the bullshit. I said racism is not in is not only in America. I was like, Canada has a quite a bit of that going on there too. He's like, nah, man, that's only in America. I'm like, man, if you don't stop the cat, that wasn't a phrase back then, but if it was, I would have definitely said that. Stop the cat. Catherine says also have a big Sudanese community in Australia. Same problem with Somalian Sudan. Sudan is a failed state. It's already been split into two separate countries: Northern Sudan and Sudan, and now Southern Sudan. But it's still in civil wars. The shit's been in civil war since I was in college, 20 years ago. Sudan has been warring since over 20 years ago. Somalia, a bunch of butt pirates. I mean, sorry, Somalia is a bunch of pirates off of the Gulf of um, what sea is that? You know, in the Mediterranean. Like they pirate that area. But actually, I found out that they're not the biggest pirates in that area. It's just that everyone knows those Somalian pirates, but they're actually not the worst pirates in that area. It's just that people as- associate the the piracy of going on in the in like the Indian Ocean and that connected sea in East Africa with Somalians, but they're actually not the worst pirates there. Arr. Because I'm the captain now. Like, all right, you the captain now. Go eat a sandwich because the motherfucker was like 100 pounds soaking wet. But I'm the captain now. Probably could he could probably barely hold that fucking gun. Probably licking on it for some some fucking minerals. He's not. Oh, he's not. Oh, I'm not gonna get ads on this one. Moon says I disagree. Canada is a melting pot, respectfully. He said my tribe is the Micmac from Nova Scotia. By the way, do I say that correctly, Moon? Because every time I pronounce it, I'm thinking I'm saying it wrong. Is it? Am I saying it right? Is it Micmac? Or is it Mickey Mac? Or I'm not sure if I'm pronouncing it correctly. Captain says Canada's pretty left leaning, isn't it? They are, but it it's it's complicated. I'll have to let Jay explain it to you. They are very left leaning, but they still got a lot of their own bullshit when it comes to like racism and inequality stuff like that. But I think it would be fair to let Jay probably talk more about it since that's his country. Gia says, "How do you feel about the refugees that come to America and disrespect Black Americans?" Oh, that's a good topic, Gia. Oh, that's a good topic. I've actually spoken about that many times before, with the when we talk about the FBA's foundational Black Americans versus these fucking tethers and other Black immigrants. I'm not gonna call all Black immigrants tethers. The only ones I'm calling tethers are the ones who come here and disrespect Black Americans. Although the main reason they're here is because of Black Americans. So all right, so we can get into it really quick. I'm gonna answer your question, okay? Because this does affect. This is geopolitics, even though it's endemic to the Black community. What affects the Black American community affects the American community at large. So, um, so here's the thing, Gia, right? So FBAs or ADOS, for people who don't know those terms, FBA stands for Foundational Black Americans, and sometimes they call it ADOS, the American Descendants of Slavery. We've been here from the freaking beginning, and when I say the beginning, the beginning of American of the American America as a nation, right? We arrived here in 1619 on slave ships that came to Jamestown, Virginia in 1619. So we actually beat the Mayflower here by a year, which arrived here in 1620. So we've been here from the beginning, and black foundational Black Americans or ADOS. Uh, Most of us came here somewhere between the 1600s and 1800s because they cut off this transatlantic slave trade in the early 1800s. Although we do know of two slave ships that still arrived here illegally after they made this transatlantic slave trade illegally. That's a different subject. But for the most part, most Black Americans arrived here. Foundational Black Americans arrived here prior to the American Civil War. So prior to the 1860s, mostly in the American South, but some arrived in the North. And a reason a lot of us say foundational Black Americans instead of ADOS, American Descendants of Slavery, is because not every foundational Black American came here in servitude as slaves. Some came here as freemen or only as indentured servants. Um, so foundational Black Americans are better term. However, you had blacks coming from other parts of the world after the 1800s, mostly in the late 20th century. A lot of people from the African continent, from the Caribbean, and from Latin America. And for one, the only reason they are allowed to come here so freely now is because of the work of the civil rights movement. So a lot of people don't know that a lot of those civil rights leaders at the time when they were passing the Civil Rights Act of 1964 were also actively campaigning for the Immigration and Naturalization Service Act of 1965 and the Voting Rights Act of 1965. Prior to the INS Act of 1965 being signed into law, there weren't many people of color immigrating to this country. Most of the people immigrating to this country came from Europe and mostly Northern Europe, which is why people from Eastern Europe and Southern Europe had such low status here, to the point that many of them weren't even considered European for a long time. People like Greeks and Europeans and Jewish people weren't considered white until like the late 20th century. And, and I mean, it's true. Like you had, just like you have HBCUs, historically black college and universities, you had Jewish universities too, because a lot of them were not admitted to Ivy League schools. They were not allowed to go to Ivy League schools, or even some of the big state schools. So they had Jewish universities. Many Italians were and Greeks and Irish and others found themselves impoverished and in the ghettos. It is because of the Immigration and Immigration and Naturalization Service Act of 1965, which was championed by our civil rights leaders, that these immigrants of color, like these black immigrants, could come to this country. But they want to come here and say, "Well, you black people didn't, you guys haven't achieved shit. We're more successful than you guys," and blah 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 blah. And they're not realizing because of because of how strict it is to get here legally, they only accept people who are already well educated and have high economic status into the country in the first place. So it's going to give the image they're more successful than many of the black Americans here, because there's a more of there there's a more of a mix of different sorts of black Americans here. You have some who are successful, some who are not so successful, and some who fall in between. Whereas most of the black immigrants who come here have to be successful. They're not accepting the ones who aren't successful here unless they come here illegally, like some of these Haitians have been doing across the Mexican border. When Kamihaha told them to go back home, don't come. She said that. She really said that, guys. She said, don't come. She li- Y'all can look that up. Fact check me. In any case, so a lot of black immigrants and other immigrants of color have taken advantages of the rights and privileges that black civil rights leaders have fought for here in this country. So become to hear them denigrate black Americans, or to see them displaying um, anti-black racism, we don't need them. And this is why foundational black Americans are starting to gate are starting to gate the culture. We're saying you guys are not like us. You're not black. You come here, and a lot of them even say that too. Like when they're on their high horse and they want to separate themselves from black Americans, they're like, I'm not black. I'm Kenyan. I'm Nigerian. I'm Cameroonian. I'm Panamanian. I'm Guyanese. I'm I'm Dominican. All right, cool. But then when police can't tell them apart from us, you treat me like that because I'm black. No, no, no. No, you said you weren't black. You said you were Dominic. You said you were Dominicano. You said you were Panamanian. You said you weren't black. And look, I've seen, because people think Haiti are the dark ones and the Dominicans aren't. They're Dominicans just as black as the Haitians. Only difference is the countries and the language. Same thing in Panama. I remember this one dude, these black guys came up to him because he was Panamanian. They was like, hey man, how you learn how to speak Spanish? He's like, because I'm from Panama. That's exactly how he said it. He's like, I'm from Panama. I'm like, all right, I had a Panamanian friend when I was in high school, but he looked, like a mestizo, um, Latino guy. So and his name, because his name was Jesus, and of course this little ratchet ass Baltimore chick. She's like, "Your name Jesus?" He's like, "No, it's actually Jesus." She's like, "Boy, your name Jesus. Don't be mad." She's like, "That's a good name. Your name Jesus. That's a good name. You need to call yourself Jesus." I'm like, I'm just looking at him. He looking at me like we just like you know. so yeah, I don't take it that I have anything against those folks from Latin America, African continent, and the Caribbean. Most of these people have been my brothers and my sisters, right? I told you I grew up with a Jamaican nanny. I grew up like Park Heights, huge Jamaican community. When I lived in Philly, it was people like Dominicans and West Indian people there. When I lived in the DC suburbs, just nothing but Latin American folks. So I have nothing against them. What I have a problem with is people coming from those cultures who are Afro Latino, Black African, or Afro Caribbean, disrespecting Black Americans. When the very fact that you're even here is because of what we've done on the backs of our forefathers that fought for not just our rights, but for the rights of people of color in general. And that's one of the problems that we need to stop fighting for other folks and just fight for ourselves. so so for black immigrants who disrespect black Americans, those are tethers, and they're not like us. To answer Gia, and they can get deported too, just like that old reggae song, "Deport them." so, um, Jay was saying I'm only he said, "So you're native?" He said, "I am." Yes, Micmac. He said, "So it is me, Mac." Okay, me, Mac. Eric says, "Never forget the current Canadian Prime Minister did blackface." As I definitely remember that, bro. The matter of fact, it's funny you said it because I was actually going to bring that up and I decided not to because I didn't think it was like relevant to the conversation. But I was literally about to say something about that, but I stymied myself. So I was like, that doesn't really fit into what we're talking about. But yeah, I have not forgotten. I clearly remember that picture of him doing blackface. To his credit, though, at least he apologized publicly about it. So I gave him credit for that. He did come out and apologize for it. Although, again, he like he's a millennial, so he knew that was wrong when he did that shit. So, but again, we all do dumb shit. So at least he apologized for it. Like I said, if it's a good thing Gen X didn't have the web and social media and smartphones back then, because a lot of us would probably be locked up right now for the shit that we did back in the 80s and 90s. So at least he apologized for it. Um, GJC, thank you, bro. He just sent me uh, he just sent me a super chat, guys. Thank you. That's how it's done. Thank you. I appreciate it a lot, brother. Jay says Canada traditionally is left, but lately with U.S. political influence and terrible left leadership, there's a huge right movement. Yeah, so I mentioned this yesterday, Jay, as well, that woke ideology is being rejected internationally. This is a part of geopolitics. You're seeing you're you're seeing a reaction to this woke ideology being forced down everyone's throat. Like I can't speak for every country, but here in the U.S., they have used like they have used the bully pulpit of either Hollywood, uh, public education, the American colleges, or certain private industries to push woke ideology, and people have gotten tired of it. And it's only a surprise to people on the left that there's this huge reaction to woke ideology because they've kept themselves encapsulated within their little bubbles where they thought that everyone pretty much thought like them, and the only people who didn't think like them are just a bunch of backwards. trolls and racists and supremacists and all this sort of stuff. When most of Middle America was tired of it too, but because people felt they couldn't freely talk, which is infringing on our cognitive liberty, not being able to say what we think and express how we feel because of the fear of social reprisal, of being canceled, of political witch hunts, of being shamed on social media, of possibly losing your job, all sort of stuff. People haven't spoken out, but you've seen, but people who are outside of that woke ideology bubble, we've all seen it festering for several years. We've seen it in the rejection of Hollywood is at an all-time low, and it's not just because of the strike that went on last year. Overall, most half of America is not watching Hollywood anymore. People are tuning into YouTube, or they're watching old stuff on streaming platforms, or just tuning into Netflix and Hulu. People are not watching stuff come. People are not watching the big networks, the big TV networks anymore. ABC, CBS, NBC. People are not watching the people are not watching Hollywood films. Like when you divide it, when you force that stuff into everyone, down everyone's throat, like people get tired of it. Pause. But no, and I'm serious. There's a new Transformers series where they're literally, this girl is literally talking about how this Autobot doesn't want to be labeled a he or she, and so the girl is telling this Autobot, you should go by they and them. You're non-binary. You don't have to go by these strict pronouns. Blah blah blah. And so this fucking Transformer, which is funny, is already funny because it's a Transformer. But so this Transformer, I think the robot name is Nightshade, goes up to Optimus and is schooling Optimus Prime. And guys, I'm not joking. I'm so not joking. I'm so glad I grew up on the original G1 Generation One Transformers and not this bullshit. This this Autobot is literally lecturing Optimus Prime on their pronouns, like saying, refer to me as they and them. I'm not a he or she. That's limiting who I am. You're a fucking robot. What are you talking about? It's a robot. The robot is, you got one robot schooling another robot on what pronouns to be referred to. Transformers, guys. This is what people are tired of. What's that video game that people just shitted on recently because they have a whole thing with they have like a whole lecture on being non-binary stuff. People are tired of it. We put on the Tokyo from last year. Oh, I didn't see this one. Okay. But yeah, man, it's whack. Moonless as Eric Drake did too. Oh, let's not start. Captors is good that needs more balance, Jay. Moon says, LOL, we lit. Micmac works. All right, thank you. That's how to say it, Micmac. Moon says, facts, good topic. Cat says, please like, share, subscribe, buy Contrarian a coffee, or drop a super chat, which Jay did. So shout out to him. Thank you again, brother. Moon says, WJ. Forrest says, clean your glasses, blood. Excuse me, bud. Show some respect. How am I not showing respect? And I literally just did take off my glasses and clean them. You can show some respect by sucking my dick. How about that? But anyway, kiss the rings, bitch. Cat Cat also says WJ. Jay says it's nice talking politics without drama, just proper debate and conversation. So if you're not familiar, there's a philosopher Jay named Peter Boghossian. He rails against the the academic institute. institution of higher learning. Like he think it does students a disservice. So even though he's a PhD level philosopher and f- professor, I don't think he has any tenured teaching position. So he does what he calls street epistemology, and he has a YouTube channel. He goes out and actually talks to people, and he also has a really good book which I might buy um, this coming year when I get some Christmas money. He tells people how to have conversations about difficult topics without it becoming a heated debate. And you can see how he actively does that on his YouTube channel, where he holds very hard conversations with people of despairing of this of not despairing of differing views, and it stays very friendly. I haven't seen one video where it's actually gotten heated at all, because he has a technique, and it should be something we should all try to study, so that we can all be able to hold conversations about things on which we disagree without being disagreeable with each other. I think that's a very high level social skill to possess, either in the form of being a public speaker or working in the government as a public servant, or just in your day to day. Very useful, because we're so hyper partisan nowadays that you literally can't talk about anything online without someone talking about politics. Like, it could be the most banal thing. Like, people will put up a video of like baby back ribs, and you'll have someone coming in saying, "Oh, those rib those those ribs are too red. You must be conservative." Like, like stupid stuff like that. And I'm not. And the sad thing is, I'm not even joking. People will make literally anything political. Like I said, look what they did to Transformers. How the hell you got a robot complaining about "Don't call me he or she" to Optimus Prime? That's crazy. That's crazy work right there. And I wish I was joking, but it's real. Catherine says, "Amen, Jay." Moonless is exactly right, Jay. Agatha says, "Thank Jay for the super chat." Yes, thank you. Moonless says, "W." Agatha, salute. Agatha says, "W." Moonlit, what's up? He said, "Not my foot." Wait. Tell you what, guys. Wait till Moonlit get that foot working. He gonna be in Lapini Stadium. So for folks who don't know Lapini Stadium is in Lapini Park in Bangkok, Thailand. I've been there, not to the stadium, but I've been to Lapini Park, and they hold fights almost every day at Lapini Stadium. And there's a gym there as well. They have a lot of high level, like, celebrity Thai boxing fights there. I was like, watch, Moonlit gonna be up in there kicking the shit out of somebody with his $6 million foot once that joint is healed up. Why would someone make a racist Pikachu? Like, that's just weird. Don't make race a factor with Pikachu. Anyway, Jay said my super chat is in Canadian though, so it ain't that good right now. Nah, you're good, bro. Like, I've told people long time ago, I don't care if it's like 10 cents. Like, I you know, I'm appreciative of anything, because you did it from your own. You did it, of your own free will. So, well, not that I believe in free will, but you get what I'm saying. Like, you did it of your own volition. And that's why I appreciate it. Melissa says, "You cool, Jay." Cass says, "Damn, only what he do?" Because another one said Gustavo Fring. Guys, I literally look nothing like Giancarlo Esposito, the actor who plays the character Gustavo Fring. Um, and again, to Eric, if you still here, bro, I did start watching Breaking Bad. I watched the first two episodes, and I'm on the third one. But Yeah, it's all right. Like I said, I don't. The thing I enjoyed about the show was seeing a man who had nothing to lose just say fuck it. I can understand. Not that I'm in his position, but I've had some lows where I can completely understand where he's coming from. But I'm not really into the whole, you know, moving drugs and making money thing. I appreciate the show for the fact that I can see a man who felt like he had nothing to lose. So in the process, he also lost his soul. But it's like when you already got a terminal illness, you can't even pay the bills, take care of your family. Like what do you got to lose? You're gonna like you're probably gonna be dead anyway. And if someone if you get a if you go to jail or get unalived in the process, so be it. Then so I feel that that I feel that part. Like that part of Breaking Bad really hits me. I understand that. But as far as people like glorifying the show because of the being a him becoming like a I guess a drug lord, I that part was the least appealing. Is to me seeing a man who felt that he lost everything just say F it, and in the process of just not caring anymore, just also loses his soul in the process. So it was some one other thing he had to lose, which he didn't realize until it's too late. Not to get all serious. Anyway, Moon says I don't play. He said they off topic or trolling. They gotta be funny. If not, they not like us. Exactly. It's like at least if you gonna troll, at least be funny. Cass says we have the saying here: "Go woke, go broke." They have no common sense. Oh no, we have that here too. It's just that people stopped using it like a while ago because it got overused probably like 5 6 years ago, which is just to show. Like I said, people have been railing against woke ideology for a long time. So for people who did not see this backlash coming, it's because you know, they've been politically encapsulated in their own little social bubbles for over a decade now, or otherwise they would have seen this backlash. Like 2016 was the wake up call, and they didn't see it back in 2016. And like I said, this election 2024 was just 2016 part two Electric Boogaloo. Like it was the same thing. A feminist female candidate goes against Trump, and people are surprised when the person fails, being all the different social tensions in the nation at the time. BSK says Poland immigration is virtually zero crime. Ditto. Thank Eric. He also dropped me super chat, guys. Appreciate that, Eric. He said America is like a battle royale arena for different reasons. Wait, uh, I'm sorry, for different ethnicities. He said it's not a melting pot; it's a skillet where we burn together. It feels that way right now. Like it's like I think ideally, and I think some of these analogies work better than others. But I've heard in college people are saying, well, let's get away from the melting pot idea because in the melting pot everything blends together and just becomes this one tasteless blob. He's the idea at the time was no, what America is more like a tossed salad. Pause, but like like a typical tossed garden salad where you have all these different things in the salad that come together to make it a salad, but they all retain their own individual flavors and textures. And I think that would be the best analogy to American culture than the melting pot. If we all come here separately. We have our own cultural. We have our own. We come from different nationalities, different ethnicities, different cultures. We have different values. We have different religions. We have you know um, different political ideologies, um, all this sort of stuff. We have different views on what success would look like here in America, but we all come together to make what is American culture. So it's like we all come together to make this American salad, but we all retain our individual flavors, aka or better said, our own identities. So which be and and collectively our own individual identities and values and stuff like that together make up what is America. Um, Moonless says W. Eric. Thank you. Yeah, exactly. Thank you. Cass says W. Eric. GJC says, yeah, Poland unapologetically rejects illegal immigration properly. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. People don't realize. So people sitting there trying to defend the illegal immigrants. I'm like, why defend illegal immigrants when you have so many people come here legally every year? Millions of people come here legally. So it's really no excuse for people to come here illegally, other than they just want to bystep the legal process for reasons. Um, and it's like I said, America. I'm pretty sure if you look at the stats, accepts more immigrants than any other country in the world. I think rivals to us as far as immigrants will probably be like what, Canada, the UK, um, and a few other Western nations. But the flux of migration is from non-Western countries to Western countries, and the U.S. being the top. Not because and I want to make this qualification. It doesn't mean that America is the most desired place to come to anymore, because it isn't. If you randomly sample a bunch of people and ask them, where they would want to come to, America is in the top five, but it's not the top anymore. It's not the number one destination anymore. What I but what I will say is it our country probably takes the most immigrants of any other country. Not that it's the top destination anymore, because I think it stopped being a top destination a few decades ago. But what I will say is it probably takes the most foreign immigrants of any other country. I think I keep smudging up my lenses, guys. Moonlit says Poland, calm down. Moonlit says what book? Post the link chat. So I can't post when I'm live. I can't post any links, but look up Peter Boghossian. That's Peter, Peter Boghossian, Boghassian. Like I said, he's a philosopher. He has a YouTube channel, and again, he's written a whole book on how to have difficult conversations with people. Um, I mean, rather, he shows how to have friendly conversations with people about difficult topics. But I don't remember the actual name of the book. Ruggin says, "Can you smell what the Rock is cooking?" Trump, 2024. BSK says, "Seemingly Islamic culture has corruption, war, violence on their own people. They then spread out all over the European Union, Canada, etc." Yeah. So, well, what I'll say about this is the funny thing about when you talk about Islamic uh, jihadism and um, radical Islamic groups and terrorists and stuff like that. What people fail to realize is that they attack their own people more than they attack us. That's something that's not always talked about um, in these international political discussions. Yes, they attack the U.S. and they attack folks in places like the UK and France. Canada, and so forth. But for all the tax uh, they've pulled here and have attempted to do here, they attack their own in their own countries in much higher concentrations than us. They terrorize their own folks more than they terrorize us, and that's something that should be discussed more. Not to mention, they force a lot of people into becoming a part of their groups by basically threatening them by threatening to unalive their families. This is something we were told even in the army, like, hey, how a lot of these people are recruited. Like a lot of them aren't like recruited. A lot of these people don't. A lot of these people don't volunteer. Some of them do, but a lot of them are forced into it. They live in regions where these uh, leader terrorist leaders of places like Al Qaeda and ISIS and many of these other groups, the Iranian Revolutionary Guard, Hezbollah, Hamas, and all, they will force the young men into joining these places, and I mean into joining these groups. It's a really messed up situation. So even here, they actively try to recruit and force people, even here in America, try to bring it back to the U.S. Moon says, "I'm gonna let that slide. I still watch WWE." I know, right? I haven't watched WWE in a while. Like I'll catch it when I'm at the gym sometimes, but all the except for like when every once in a while when John Cena and The Rock return for like to do little cameo appearances, there's really no one there I care about. Like I know The Rock's nephew wrestles and one of his other, and I think like his cousin and nephew wrestle now, but aside from them, like I really just don't care about the people in the current WWE. Like we all know the best era of WWE. Well, arguably the best era of WWE was the what was it called, the Attitude Era. So Moon says I love Liv Morgan. Moon says you gave me too much credit. He said I'm not Sugar Shane O'Malley. Moon says W Breaking Bad. You the one who knocks. BSK says and then bring the new country down. Criminal behavior or nearly so. Moonless says hashtag media manipulates. Well, that's literally called managing the news. What the media does by allowing either corporate overlords or government to push misinformation. And when a corporate entity or a government agency interferes with the news, it's called managing the news. And when they are intentionally spreading misinformation, that's called disinformation. So yeah. This is why a lot of people nowadays under the age of pretty much people under who are under the age of 40 or so get most of their news now through social media, podcasts, and internet news. A lot of us no longer rely on legacy media because le- most people mistrust mainstream media news now, and they deserve the mistrust. Uh, Cass says, I like that. Eric says, Walter White represents the crumbling American dream. He has a shit teaching job, an emotionally uninvolved wife, a disabled, apathetic son, and a crippling illness, yet everyone is dependent and judges. Yeah, like the show is compelling. So thanks Eric for telling me to try the show out. Like I said, I wasn't attracted to the show for like seeing him, rise to becoming a drug lord. I was more what what after the first episode, because I told you I was gonna watch the pilot episode, and if I liked it, I'll watch some more. So what attracted me after the first episode was seeing that this man just it was in this shit situation. Like he has a terminal cancer diagnosis. Like you said, his family is shit, and he can't even provide for them. That's like, and he's like, fuck, what do I got to lose? So I feel that, I feel that so much. Um, so yeah, I get it, but then you realize he there was one thing he still had to lose, and that's his soul. And I think that comes up later in the later episodes or later seasons of the show. Like I said, I'm still in episode 3. Uh, Cass says, please like, share, subscribe, buy Contrarian a coffee, or drop a super chat. Moonla says, you're not wrong, Eric. He says, it's the fact he took the I don't give a F route, which is what most relate to. Yep. Eric says, I like to think Walter chose his fate because him being a quote unquote good person gave him nothing in return. So, again, guys, this is why philosophy is so good. This is something that was literally written out by 2,000 years ago by Plato in his book, The Republic. I have that here. In the book The Republic, he uses uh, Socrates as the character in this book, but you can tell by the time he started writing his later works that that he was using Socrates as a mouthpiece for his own ideas, whereas in Plato's early writings he was voicing Socrates' actual philosophical views since he was his teacher. But later on in his later works, you can see he's just using Socrates as a character to voice his own views. And the Republic is a book in which he's clearly voicing his own views through Socrates as a character. And it comes up the whole question um, of does it does it make sense to be a good person if you're not rewarded for it, or does it matter that should you even strive to be a good person if no one knows that you are a good person? Like it goes unnoticed. You're not only are you unrewarded for it, but you may be actively punished for it, or it may just go completely unnoticed that you are a good person. It's like is it is it and to be completely blunt, Plato never adequately addressed this question. He basically said through the mouthpiece of Socrates, Plato basically said you should be a good person even if it goes unnoticed and unrewarded, because to be good is a good unto itself, because the person who does so is basically displaying a sort of platonic ideal of what is good, and not just what is good as far as society is concerned. And that for most people, that's really a, a very clever evasion of the issue, because it's like that still doesn't really answer the question. Like we can get into what is good in the platonic sense, like the ideal, what is good, but that doesn't really answer the question. What what point is there to be a good person if you're not rewarded for it, if it goes unnoticed, or if you may even be like punished for being good? Like the common saying, no, no good deed is no good deed goes unpunished. That whole kind of common saying, like this, like I said, we can go travel all the way back to 2,000 years ago when Plato talked about stuff like this. I mean, over 2,000 years ago when he talked about this, and he never adequately answered the question. And so to be perfectly frank, I'm a pragmatic person. I'm not gonna I'm not gonna wag my finger and tell people to be good when it will actively hurt them in doing so. If you live in the hood and being a good person will put you at a disadvantage, don't do it. I'm a pragmatic person. I don't think it. I don't think it makes. I think it's patently irrational to be a good person if it's gonna harm you in the process of being good. in comic books, the superhero is rewarded for his heroism. Like, it goes unnoticed how much Peter Parker suffers, that he can save everyone in the city but still not be able to pay his rent at the end of the day, and risk becoming homeless, not being able to take care of his Aunt May. That works in comic books, but in the real world, no. In the real world, no, absolutely not. It is not. It is not rational to be a good person if it's going to actively harm you in doing so. If if this billionaire can get away with doing X, Y, and Z, even though it's wrong, and you can do the same thing and get away with it as well, but because you're a poor person, they're gonna say, "Oh, you are a bad person to do such and such," and the other person actively does it, and it's like, "Well, he shouldn't have done it either," but he's successful though. But shame on you for doing it. Fuck that. This this where it I think it's better to be rash. So if I were if so to if I were to answer Plato and in the Republic, um, I would say it's better to be pragmatic than to be a good person, or we're just gonna have to abandon what is the good, because how can something be good if it leaves you at a disadvantage, at a social disadvantage, economic disadvantage, a political disadvantage, even at a physical disadvantage, like someone who puts his life at risk to help others, like Daniel Penny. I said, if that guy gets convicted of those crimes, you'll never see a man help a woman or child out again, because no one's going to go out and risk their neck and then get punished for their efforts. Yes, he held that chokehold too long, but you got a fucking drug addicted lunatic homeless person telling everyone on that train, and I know this is a tangent, but follow me, guys. Um, Telling everyone he's going to hurt people in that subway. He doesn't care. He wants their money, and he doesn't care if they get the police involved. Mind you, he was wanted on several warrants for his arrest. He's had multiple assault cases, including on children and old people. He doesn't care. And for people saying he wouldn't have been homeless if the government was looking out for him, part of his last in part of one of his last cases he was involved in, he was supposed to be in a halfway house. They gave him structure. They gave him a home to stay in. He left after several days of being there. He didn't care. He didn't care about his welfare, and he didn't care about the welfare of others. And so, what did Daniel Penny did? He saw everyone on this train being threatened. He's a trained Marine. He stepped in like a Marine fucking should and held it down. And he was assisted by two other men as well. Two black dudes came in and helped him. Mind you, they weren't charged with the crimes. Just Penny. He was assisted by two other guys, seeing him restrain this guy, and he held the choke too long, but he held it until like the train arrived at his destination and law enforcement came. As far as I'm concerned, he's a hero. But doing the good thing, but doing the what did the good person get for it? Charged with felonies, which again luckily he was acquitted of. So when the question comes up, you know, being a good person and you get nothing in return, that's going to deter people from being good people. because you have to be pragmatic first and foremost. What's the point in looking out for others if it's gonna leave you at the loss of your freedom or the loss of your life? So anyway, let me get back off my high horse. I don't know what Theron is talking about. He on some other shit. Um, BSK says conscription by coercion. Yep, exactly what they do with a lot of these young men into these terrorist groups. Conscription by coercion. Like I said, anyone who's been in the military, particularly in like the late '90s, early 2000s, or probably even now, probably heard of the tactics that these Islamic groups use to coerce people into joining their forces. Mullen says episode 3, you have to love the pizza on the roof. You'll understand. Yeah, I didn't get that far. I don't think. Eric says if you ever finish Breaking Bad, I recommend Better Call Saul. The best I can describe the character as an honest liar of a lawyer with moral intentions. So most lawyers then, right? uh, Melissa says, yeah, Call Saul is good. DJC says, in Sopranos, Johnny Sack was a pragmatist and made the Soprano family successful, but then he became boss of New York and turned narcissistic. True. Was Johnny Sack supposed to be like a I won't say Gotti because he wasn't flashy and he wasn't flashy and garish like Gotti, but he sort of reminded me of like like he was like a Gotti sort of person, but he was more like a. Uh, I'm trying to think of the name of this other mob boss. I, if it comes to me, I'll remember. But yeah, Divine says, "What's up, Bill Cosby?" All right, you earned yourself a timeout. Jay says Daniel Penny was invited by Trump advance to the Army versus Navy game. Yeah, I saw that earlier. I saw that earlier on Twitter. I don't like saying X because it's like we still basically see it as Twitter. But yeah, I saw a picture of the three of them on. I think it was on Twitter. Or it could have been on Instagram. But yeah, I saw that earlier. I also saw my dumbass Governor Westmore talking about go Army. I'm like, man, fuck Governor Westmore. Of he's the black governor of Maryland, guys. He's the first black governor of Maryland. Fuck him. Um, I'm serious. I was like, yeah. So I left the reply under his tweet saying, yeah, it's good to see the team winning without stolen valor, unlike some others. And if you guys don't catch the reference, he basically lied about winning a bronze medal, which he did not receive. But he claims that it was on his DD 214, so that's why he lied and told people he was a bronze medal recipient, even though he never won a bronze medal because according to him it was on his DD 214. Your DD 214 for people who don't know the military is basically like it's your service record, and there's different types of DD 214. So you have your enlistment DD 214, then you have your DD 214 that gives you like your whole service record. Then you have like classified DD. Anyway, it's basically like your service record in the military. And he claims on his service record, his DD 214, that it said that he was a bronze medal recipient. So he asked whether he could say he was a bronze medal winner, and apparently some higher ups told him he could. That just sounds like a total fucking lie, and it was something he told the media to get away to get away from the fact that he, you know, did not win a bronze medal. It's a stolen valor, pure and simple. It's just like he lied and said he's from Baltimore, and his bitch ass was born in Tacoma Park, a suburb of Washington D.C., then grew up in the Bronx, New York. He never lived in Baltimore City except for the 4 years he spent as a student at Johns Hopkins University, then moved back to New York after he received his degree. So that doesn't count. Being a student somewhere does not make you a native of that city. If that's like me being from Baltimore, like I haven't lived in Baltimore in my life, but let's say I lived in Baltimore in my life, and then I go to school in New Orleans um, for 4 years, and then come back. And then I decide to run for office in New Orleans, and then I lie and tell people I'm a New Orleans native. No, I'm not. No, I'm not. So it's the same thing. And he's a very disingenuous person. So fuck him. Jay says, yeah, when he got boss, he mimicked Gotti with the suits and sports car. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. He came off like very John Gotti-ish, but when you see him originally in like I think he first appears in the third season, the beginning of the third season, when he moves to New Jersey, and he's like, I'm not gonna, he said, I'm not gonna stick my beak into stuff going on in New Jersey. I'm just gonna still keep my my business affairs with New York. But yeah, guys. Oh shit, it's 12:20. So I'm about to go because I know sooner or later it's going to be like a onrush of trolls. Like the online trolls seemingly wake up at midnight, and that's when they just flood people's live streams. Like there's something seriously wrong with these fucking folks. Like it's like they seem like they just wake up out of their fucking coma around midnight and they decide, hey, it's my time to shine. Let me go in and be an asshole on every live stream that I can that hasn't already blocked me. So I'm about to get off soon. All right. Jay says, "Yeah, cheers, man. Thanks for the content." No, thank you again, bro, for the super chat. I'm gonna do a different country tomorrow. If I think Miss Needles has already gone to sleep, but if she's here, I would like to focus on Europe because I didn't expect her to be here today. So I'm gonna try to start a little bit um, earlier. So I don't know what time because it's like a 7 hour time difference between here and Germany. So I don't know if I should start later, which will get her on, or if I should start earlier when I get when. So I'm not sure, but I'm gonna start somewhere around the same time again tomorrow around 9, and I think we might bring the focus of geopolitics onto Europe next. Um, I think we might go there. Catherine says, "Take care, Contrarian." Thanks, Kat. So yeah, I'm about to go, guys. Thank you to all my moderators, Kat, Moonlit, Miss Needle, Agatha. I think Officer Lumen is gone. I don't I don't know if anyone else has seen Officer Lumen, but I don't know if he's just not on YouTube anymore or he's not on coming to the live streams. I'm not sure. Hopefully he's okay because I know he says he's an NYPD officer, so police officer. So hopefully everything's good with him. Maybe Agatha chased him off. I'm joking, Agatha. He's still there. But Jason, yeah, thanks for not timing me out tonight. No problem. That was a mistake, by the way. Again, from Moonlit. Um, he said, just kidding. Eric says, from experience, a lot of trolls are on night shift and bored. Source, I'm a degenerate too. No, so I actually looked this up, Eric. Like I actually asked, like I actually asked my AI, the Gemini. I use Gemini instead of Chat GPT. I think Gemini is better because it has a larger database than Chat GPT. But I think Chat GPT is better for like doing stuff like papers and stuff like that. But Gemini has a huge, I think, a larger database than Chat GPT. And from what I gathered from asking Google Gemini, it said that the reason a lot of trolls appear in live streams, particularly at night, it's because of one, the anonymity of being online, and two, the anonymity of the night kind of like fuels them. And as I've and, and as I've as I speculated, see my speculation was correct, that a lot of them are dealing with mental health problems. So there is a lot of these online trolls do have mental illness, and it seems to be exacerbated by them coming on late at night, because obviously a lot of people who are mentally ill don't sleep regularly. So my suspicions were correct. A lot of these online trolls are mentally ill, have you know irregular sleeping patterns, and are also speared on by the the seeming their seeming anonymity of being behind a digital screen, and the darkness that comes with being up late at night. So all that comes together in a volatile mix that brings on these idiots. So I'm gonna get off before all these little mental midgets come on. Again, thank you again for your super chat as well, Eric. But yeah, and the recommendation, the recommendation for Breaking Bad. I'm gonna keep checking on. I'm at least finish the first season, and then I'll determine whether I want to finish watching all of the whole series. But since I like the first 3 episodes so far, I'm at least going to finish the whole first season. But on that note, guys, I'm out. Unless anyone has like a last question or comment, I'll give it like a minute or so before I leave. Um, but yeah, I think I've seen caught every question and comment so far that came on. See something. Yep. I'm just playing with the chat filter, guys. All right, but yeah, so I'm gonna go unless there's any last questions or so, and if I miss anyone's question or comment, this this will be uploaded like all the other live streams for replay, so people can leave a comment or question in the comment section. I'll find it, and if you want to show support, you can drop me a super like J.A.C and Eric Roca did, guys, or you can drop me a super thanks once this is rec- um, once this is you're watching this on replay. You can drop me a super thanks, or you can sign up for a membership starting at $2.99, very cheap, cheaper than a Happy Meal. um, or you can send me a gift through the. Actually, no, that can only be done during the live stream. But yeah, you can send me a Cash App or Venmo, or you can go to Buy Me a Coffee and buy me a coffee. You will see me drinking my coffee during the live stream. Jason's future topic for Christmas: is there a psychological impact with Elf on the Shelf? Big debate these days. There was some debate over that like many years ago. I think most people don't really care anymore, but I remember 10 years ago there was discussion with it on it teaching kids. We can go into that in maybe around Christmas. I will do a Christmas live stream. But yeah, there was basically teaching. People thought it was teaching kids to live under a sort of a big brother eye where they're always being watched. And they thought it was unhealthy, psychologically unhealthy for kids. So that was the discussion, but that was like 10 years ago. I haven't really heard people talk about it anymore. Nowadays, I just hear people like kind of just clowning on Elf on the Shelf. Like they'd be like, "Well, you heard of Elf on the Shelf? Now we have Danny DeVito on a burrito or something like that." So it seems like nowadays most people just make fun of Elf on the Shelf, but um, it the Elf on the Shelf has been around for over like 25 years now. So the whole the whole like drama about it teaching kids to live under constant surveillance was like an issue I heard talked about 10 years ago. So But yeah, I get it. You say you have young kids, so it's new to me in my circle. But the issue itself, yeah, it's pretty old. But yeah, I'll definitely do like a Christmas live stream, just like I did like a Thanksgiving live stream and a Halloween live stream. I don't know, maybe I should do a Hanukkah live stream, but I don't get that many. I haven't got that many Jewish followers. I don't know how many, since I can't determine like who is of who follows the um, Judaism faith or who is ethnically Jewish or whatever. I can't determine that from my stats, but I'm going to assume that most of my followers aren't Jewish. Shalom to those who are. But it might just, I don't know if I'll, so I might just do specifically Christmas, or it might just be the holidays in general. We'll see. Because I don't want people to, because if I decide to because if I happen to widen the scope to all the holidays, now I might have some people complaining like, "Oh, you're one of these people that's trying to do away with Christmas," and I don't want people to say that. Because first of all, I'm an atheist anyway, so so the fact that you would people would criticize me for like champion one holiday over the other when I don't follow any faith is rather hilarious. But also, it's also hilarious the fact that I do celebrate Christmas as an atheist, and many atheists do, by the way. Um, so it you know, it wouldn't matter to me. Like we can talk about all the holidays, or we can make it specifically Christmas. I think I think what I'll do, I might do both. I might do one where it's just we're just talking about all the holidays of the winter, all the winter holidays, and then we're gonna do one specifically Christmas, like on Christmas Day or Christmas Eve. We'll specifically do Christmas, and then on another day, maybe the day after, we'll do all the holidays so, to include that fake ass Kwanzaa. But let's be honest, most black people don't even celebrate Kwanzaa. Jay says you see Candace Owens interviewed a Navy vet recently. Israel supposedly attacked an American ship in the Mediterranean. I haven't yet because I don't take Candace Owens seriously when she talks about Israel a lot because she seems to be on some anti-Semitic shit, which is why she was kicked off the Daily Wire in the first place. Like they just got tired of her bullshit. And on top of that, like she's out here defending that slut that banged 101 men, saying that these men are perverts for fucking her when she's the one that fucked 101 men. Like, and now she wants to do 1,000 men, but she's online crying about the 101 men that she slept with voluntarily and recruited these men to be on her videos so that she get the very notoriety that she now enjoys from doing it. And she was already an OF person before this. And Candace and other conservative women are defending her and attacking the men instead of attacking her for her debauchery. It was like, what? This is why I don't take Candace Owens very seriously sometimes. And this is why I can see why um, Ben Shapiro said she's not very bright. But whatever. We can get into that another day. Jay says the story may be true, but she also has an anti-Israel agenda, so it requires some fact checking. Exactly. So you're basically saying what I'm saying as well. We're on the same wavelength. But on that, yeah, we can get into that another day. Like that can definitely be a part of the geopolitical discussion because we're definitely going to get into the. It's going to be unavoidable to talk about the Mediterranean, specifically Israel and Hamas, or Israel Palestine generally. But that will be for another day. And I'll definitely do something about Christmas, live stream on that. And I need to get back to doing some pre-recorded videos too. I haven't done that in a while. But all right, guys, I'm out. Thanks, Jay. Again, talk to you guys later. Enjoy. Have a good night. And for you guys on the other side of the world, have a good day. Thanks.